on, we have to swim. Let's go.
Dreamer, I know that you're afraid of the water, but we have to go now. Dreamer, if you go back there, they're gonna kill you. You don't have to sacrifice yourself for us. It's okay. We'll make it. We can all go. We'll all be fine. Dreamer, come. Dreamer, where are you going? Come.
Eyes on the target.
He's not coming back. Okay.
Hi there. Today we're going to explore the plot of the 2021 film, The Wolf and the Lion. Poachers in the African prairie take away a lioness's cub, intending to sell the baby to a Canadian circus. Soon, a small plane takes off from Africa with the lion cub on board. Alma, who had long lost both her parents, is learning to play the piano, dreaming of becoming a famous musician. When her grandfather, her last close relative, dies, she travels to the home of her childhood in the Canadian wilderness. Along with the house on a small island, her grandfather left the island itself to his granddaughter as an inheritance. Alma is ferried to the island by her godfather Joe. In the evening, the girl watches a farewell video from her grandfather, where he shows that a white she-wolf often appears near his house. At night, a strong storm begins, during which Alma hears a powerful crash. She wants to find out the source of the noise, but the downpour and gusty wind do not allow her to step outside the door. The next day, two zoologists, Charles and Eli, are trying to capture a very rare snow wolf. On their radar, the men see that one of the traps has been triggered, and they hurry to it. The she-wolf manages to gnaw through the ropes and escape, but the scientists follow close behind. At the same time, Alma leaves her house, planning to walk around the island to figure out what had been making such a loud noise during the night. She stumbles upon the she-wolf. Pieces of netting stuck to her body had caught on a branch and prevented her from moving further. Alma carefully frees the animal, and it immediately runs away. Almost at once, the scientists appear. When Alma learns that the men want to capture the wolf, she drives them off her island. Soon after, Alma reaches the wreckage of the poacher's plane, which had crashed on the island during the night. Fortunately, the lion cub survived. It falls out of the cage and ends up in a bird's nest filled with large eggs. Almost immediately, a bald eagle arrives and pushes the baby out, who falls straight into Alma's hands. The girl decides to take the cub home. It reminds her of a large kitten, but just as Alma opens the door, the she-wolf runs inside with her own cub. It seems the animal sensed that the girl could protect them from the scientists. Alma is still in shock when Joe arrives by boat and gives her a radio, explaining that cell service hardly works on the island. Her godfather also cannot believe his eyes when he sees wild animals in the house, but Alma insists that she will handle this herself. Soon, rangers from the Wildlife Protection Service arrive. They report that the plane's pilot survived and is in the hospital, and they ask about the lion cub. The girl decides not to hand the baby over to trainers, since her grandfather had always spoken against cruelty toward animals in circuses. When the wolf cub nurses from its mother, the lion cub joins in, and the caring she-wolf does not drive the outsider away. From then on, the two cubs live in the house together, while the mother wolf sometimes runs off into the forest. Because of this, Alma always keeps one of the windows open. The lion cub and the wolf cub grow up together like brothers. They play with each other and with their mistress, and both are well fed, thanks to the she-wolf. One day, Alma leaves for 2 days to the city to take her music school exam, leaving the animals at home alone. The girl successfully passes the exam and becomes one of 3 graduates accepted into the Los Angeles Philharmonic. However, she turns down this tempting offer because she cannot find a proper place for the lion cub and decides to take care of her pets herself. Returning to the house on the island, Alma finds a complete mess caused by the cubs. She cannot find the she-wolf anywhere, not realizing that the scientists had returned to the island, captured the wild animal, and taken her away. From that moment on, the care of the growing pets falls entirely on Alma's fragile shoulders. She decides to name the wolf cub Mozart and the lion cub Dreamer. When winter comes, Joe visits Alma on a snowmobile. The godfather is horrified to see how much her pets have grown and turned into real formidable predators. Joe worries about the girl and asks her to keep in touch with him every day. The 3 of them, Alma, the wolf cub Mozart, and the lion cub Dreamer, survive the cold winter together, and soon the warm season returns. One day, a mother and daughter arrive at the island by boat to pick flowers. Mozart and Dreamer notice the guests and run toward them to play. Alma, convinced that the girls might be in serious danger, rushes after her large pets. The mother and daughter manage to push off from the shore just in time, while Alma accidentally trips, hits her head on a stone, and loses consciousness. The animals desperately try to wake their mistress, but it is all in vain. When Alma does not get in touch for a long time, Joe begins to worry and soon finds the girl not far from the shore, surrounded by her pets, who are keeping her warm with their bodies, not letting her freeze. The godfather is forced to call the police and rangers in order to get Alma to the hospital as quickly as possible, since the medics would not have dared approach the girl while wild animals were nearby. The doctor reports that Alma has a serious concussion and is in a coma. She adds that without the warmth of her large pets, the girl would have frozen to death. The rangers hand the wolf cub Mozart over to zoologist Eli. The satisfied scientist takes the animal and brings it to a shelter, where several snow wolves are already being kept, including Mozart's mother. The zoologists hope that the rare species will begin to reproduce in captivity, after which several individuals will be released back into the wild. Soon after, the traveling circus owner Alan arrives for the lion cub Dreamer, for whom the animal had originally been intended. Alan appears together with his son Rafa, who is struck by the wild nature of the lion. The boy says that classical music can calm the animal, and he plays a pleasant melody on his phone. Dreamer calms down a little, since Alma often played the piano for him and Mozart. When the lion is brought to the circus, Alan explains to his son that the only way to subdue a wild animal is through fear. The man gives the animal a sedative and mistreats it in front of his upset son. When Alma finally regains consciousness, the first thing she asks Joe is about her pets. After learning the truth, the girl runs away from the hospital and tries to find them. She calls zoologist Eli and learns that Mozart is with them. When Eli arrogantly declares that the wolf is now living among his own kind in the wild, Alma realizes that perhaps this really is the best thing for her friend. But Dreamer must absolutely be rescued from the circus. The girl travels from one traveling circus to another but cannot find the lion cub. Meanwhile, Alan still does not dare to release the wild animal into the arena and uses it only in comic acts. One day, Alan's traveling circus stops near the shelter where the snow wolves are kept. Mozart hears his friend and escapes from his cage, digging a small hole under the fence surrounding the territory. Eli calls Alma, apologizes for the past, and asks for her help in searching for the runaway. In the meantime, Mozart reaches Alan's circus, knocks him down, and escapes into the forest together with Dreamer. The old friends are reunited at last, and they rejoice at their long-awaited meeting. Eli comes to Alma so that they can search for the runaways together. The man explains that there is a GPS tracker on the wolf and shows on the map the last place where it was spotted. The animals walk for several hours, and at night, unaccustomed to hunting in the wild, they decide to get food at a local supermarket. The noise brings out a security guard, but upon seeing the wild animals, he immediately hides and calls the police. Mozart and Dreamer manage to escape, though they are noticed by several more townspeople. Alma and Eli go searching for the pets, just as Alan and his son do, listening to urgent radio news reports about the escapees. Several special forces units comb the nearby forests, ready to use weapons in case of any threat. Alan is the first to find the lion and prepares to tranquilize him. However, the brave Mozart knocks the man down and takes the dart instead of his friend. Alan is forced to retreat empty-handed, as during the fall he seriously injures his leg. Alma encounters Dreamer in the forest, and he leads her to her grandfather's old hunting lodge, where the wounded Mozart is hiding. Soon, the limping Alan appears and declares that he will take back his lion. Fortunately, Rafa persuades his father to leave the animal alone, and they depart. Right after, the Special Forces team arrives, and it seems that the animal's fate is sealed. Alma manages to guide Mozart and Dreamer through a secret tunnel from the lodge that leads into a hollow tree near the shore, right under the policemen's noses. The girl and the wolf leap into the water and swim toward the island. Dreamer stays on the shore, distracting the Special Forces with his powerful roar. On the way, they hear several gunshots. Arriving at the island, Alma breaks into tears, thinking that the police had shot her friend. Fortunately, Dreamer soon emerges from the bushes. The Special Forces do not dare to set foot on the island, as it is Alma's private property. A few days later, the girl organizes a concert on the island for all her neighbors, dedicating it to her friends, Mozart and Dreamer, as well as to all wild animals that are kept in captivity by humans. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, give it a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.